It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. We're just south of 100 likes. If you're watching us live on YouTube, please make sure to smash that like button. All right. Here is the least surprising headline you're going to get all day. A member of the Oakland City Council was beaten and robbed.
Apparently by a friend of hers, too. For more on this not surprising story coming out of the city of Oakland,
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
Here is Cron 4.
We're learning more now about the violent robbery of Oakland City Council member Rowena Brown. Police say that the suspect was someone Brown knew, and today that woman appeared in court facing felony charges.
Cron 4's Sarah Stinson has the latest from Oakland City Hall.
Several city council members and the mayor here at Oakland City Hall reacting to the violent robbery of council member Rowena Brown. Many saying they hope she gets the help she needs as she heals during this difficult time.
I just want everyone to...
I don't think that members of the Oakland City Council have been this surprised by something since Sheng had her home raided by the FBI when she was topless.
Absolutely.
Might have been bottomless, too.
Uh-oh. Can you imagine that police body cam footage?
Maybe they'll use it in the trial.
What do you think she was doing nude?
Sleeping.
Well, that's an assumption that you're making. She might have been frying bacon for all you know.
She says she got woken up out of bed and didn't even have time to put undies on.
What if she was on the exercise bike?
Naked? That seems stained.
Maybe she likes it au natural.
Gonna just move on from this before we get in any more trouble today.
Respect her privacy while she's healing mentally and physically.
At a home in West Oakland, Councilmember Rowena Brown was assaulted and robbed Saturday night by a woman she knew. Brown's office says she was trying to help an acquaintance she had been supporting through a difficult time.
Well, she helped her with her wallet, apparently.
Well, now she can commiserate because she's going through a difficult time, too.
Officers responded just before 1 a.m. Sunday and found Brown injured. Police arrested Ashate Millhouse Tuesday outside the city. Fellow Oakland City Council member Ken Houston says the attack is especially difficult to process because of who Brown is.
She's passionate about the community she embraced, and she's a little bit too...
I guess it was casual Friday at Oakland City Hall.
He's there in an undershirt?
Yeah. Looks like he has a second undershirt on also, so you can't see the nips, but just a white T-shirt on, and it's it says member of the city council. All right.
Carrying it too open, so I guess that it hit us the wrong way, right?
Maybe the idea is dress down so you don't also get robbed.
Well, listen, I guess being on the Oakland City Council carries certain occupational hazard, and someone beating the living hell out of you is one of them.
And I'm troubled behind it.
Brown's office wrote in a statement saying she remains focused on her recovery and on continuing to serve the Oakland community. She's grateful to Oakland police for taking the suspect into custody.
What's happening around the country on politicians is unacceptable.
And that's not what this was.
No. This is not Rand Paul being attacked by his neighbor. This is not Steve Scalise being shot at the softball game. It's not Gabrielle Giffords being shot at the supermarket. This is her friend beating her up because she has bad taste in friends.
Especially for someone like her. She didn't deserve it.
Houston says he visited Brown the day after the attack.
And she said she needed to speak to me, and she was very distraught. And she told me what happened, so I immediately went over to see her, embraced her.
City records show Millhouse was appointed by...
Soft-spoken Ken Houston isn't nearly as fun as pop-off Ken Houston.
Oh, no. No, we need a little fury from him.
Brown to the Cannabis Regulatory Commission. On Thursday, Millhouse appeared in court.
Wait. What happened, so I immediately went over to see her, embraced her.
City records show Millhouse was appointed by Brown to the Cannabis Regulatory Commission.
So she gave her a cushy job, and that still wasn't enough. She got robbed.
Okay, this makes more sense. If they're selling these positions on these boards, which is what Sheng was accused of doing and her boyfriend, and then this one is appointing complete lunatics to these commissions.
Thursday, Millhouse appeared in court on charges of felony first-degree residential robbery, assault, and false imprisonment. Court records also mention numerous prior
false
convictions.
Imprisonment. So she locked her in the house too?
Apparently.
What a night.
Or she made it so she couldn't leave while she got her house ransacked. This poor woman.
For Millhouse. She remains held at Santa Rita Jail. Council President Kevin Jenkins posted on social media saying Brown is in his thoughts as she recovers. And Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee also posted saying she's, quote, been in touch with Councilmember Brown and she is well and recovering from her injuries. Support for Brown also.
You think that when she got attacked, the friend of hers stood over her and said, "What's the frequency, Kenneth?"
Kudos to anybody that gets that reference.
Ended beyond City Hall.
On behalf of our community, we wish her well and with, speedy recovery.
She'll be back to work, I guarantee you. She's a soldier.
Councilmember Brown is asking for privacy during this time. I'm Sarah Stinson reporting in Oakland, KRON 4 News.
And the district attorney in Alameda County has already made all kinds of charges with this. But John, what do you think the charges would have been if this went to the desk of the former Alameda County district attorney?
She's too soft on crime.
I think it would go to the circular file.
She called me a crime boss.
Okay, just think about this for a second, though. This was not some random person. This was not a schizophrenic living on the street. This was A, friend of hers, and B, someone who was appointed to a city commission that regulates an industry. What happens if you have to go in front of this board with business and you have to get the approval of a crazy person to get what you want? How does any business actually operate in that city if these are the people you need the approval of?
Well, to go back to our favorite girl, Sheng Yi Tao, the people that get appointed to these commissions, sometimes it's because of different kinds of favors. There is no actual, you must know how businesses run, so you should be on the Cannabis Commission. It's for our friends, it's for our donors, it's for our benefactors.
So let's just say that you're trying to build a building for housing, and you have to go in front of the planning commission. What do you bring with you? Do you bring a gun? You bring some brass knuckles, maybe some pepper spray, a taser? Or maybe you're like Elvis going to the White House, and you have to have about 15 guns on your person because you don't know if multiple members of that board are going to start shooting at you. What's the criteria of being appointed to a position like this?
I don't think there was one.
It's just anyone they want. Oh, this is my girlfriend, so we'll put her on. What does she know about weed? Well, she likes to smoke it. Does she have any degrees or credentials? Well, she won several rounds at the Fight Club. Does that count?
I mean, you remember that inauguration party when Sheng Tao won? It was the boyfriend, Andre, who was going to all the donors saying, what job do you want? What job do you want? What job do you want?
And didn't he bring his side piece with him too?
He brought his ex to Sheng Tao's inauguration party, and it made her really, really, really pissed off.
Absolutely.
You ever see the movie Booty Call?
Yes, I have.
Okay. There's a scene, and I think it was Bernie Mac was the character. He was a preacher in the movie. And he's at a liquor store late at night that's getting robbed. And the liquor store is getting robbed at gunpoint. And he throws up his hands, and he doesn't want to get shot by the person who's robbing the convenience store. So he goes, Don't shoot me, man. Don't shoot me, man. Don't shoot me, man. I got a girlfriend. I got a wife on the side. I got a lot to live for. And it kind of reminds me of Shang's boyfriend.
Absolutely.
That trial's coming in the fall, kids, and it's going to be exciting.
We might have to go up there for that and play the role of Nancy Grace and Jane Velez Mitchell. Who was that? Doug Llewellyn, who would interview people after the People's Court? Maybe one of us can play that role, too.
That's right. I like that. That was amazing.
You know, it's too bad O.J. Simpson is no longer with us because we could use him as a per diem reporter from the courthouse.
What's going on, America?
Imagine the Juice doing live shots after that trial. He doesn't have a law degree, but he knows a thing or two about the courts.
He has what they call lived experience, or had lived experience. Excuse me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is a telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And boy, the chat on YouTube is hopping today, Randy.
We're having lots of fun in here. You can play along with us. It's Friday. You don't need to get any actual work done. YouTube.com/@RandyWang Radio. And hit that like button. If we can get to 500, well, it would make Johnny a very happy boy.
It would. And Randy, too.
I would also be very pleased.
All right. In Oakland, it's not just the members of the city council that are being attacked. Now, the students at Oakland Unified School Districts are being told they're no longer allowed to have cell phones with them during instruction.
Something that we're seeing in school districts up and down the state of California. Now it's time for OUSD to implement the same policy. Let's see why. Here's a report from KTVU, Fox 2.
One sense of community is in school, and as students and their families get ready to go back to school, districts are rolling out new policies on cell.
You could tell this was from the morning show because everyone's a little more chipper.
Well, if it was a Today Show, you'd be able to tell because there'd be an intruder in there.
Phones. Oakland Unified, the latest to announce a full ban on electronics during the school day. James Torres is live in Oakland this morning with more. James?
Andre, well, most school districts will tell you that students can't have their phones in a classroom, but it's how far some of these districts want to go to enforce those rules. And
yeah, usually the teacher has to be the one to say, put that away, and then they go back to instruction, and then 2 seconds later, put that away, and no actual learning gets done because the teacher has become the phone police for the entire day.
Okay, I'm opposed to this, at least in the city of Oakland. Because what are those kids supposed to do if members of the school board start shooting at them?
Oakland, one of the latest districts to announce their plans to do a full cell phone ban, meaning students will need to either lock their phones away or put them in a protective pouch. That pouch, you may have heard that name of several times. It's called a Yonder pouch. They have been a practice for several...
These are the same things they have you at certain comedy clubs put your phone in so you can't film the performance.
I wonder if there's a 2-drink minimum there.
School districts all throughout the country and for several years. Oakland now the latest to announce this full bell-to-bell cell phone ban, meaning...
Don't these kids look a little young to have an iPhone?
I think this is a losing battle. People have their iPhones wherever they go. And not that long ago, it used to be you couldn't use it on an airplane. You couldn't use it on a cruise ship. Now you can use it just about everywhere. And with Starlink, you're really going to be able to use it everywhere because as that proliferates, as that gets bigger and expands, rural areas are going to have internet access. If you're on a ship in the middle of the ocean, you'll have internet access. Who knows? Maybe you'll have it from space too.
Students cannot have any access to their phones while on campus, including in between classes or at lunch. All school...
Not even at recess?
Or during lunch?
What are the kids supposed to do? Have an actual conversation? They're not equipped for that.
School districts in California this year.
Isn't it funny how in like 10 years, we went from kids need to have as many screens as possible. We need to give the kids free iPads. We had the whole Zoom school thing during COVID. And now it's like, oh, screens are bad for you. We need to take them all away.
Were required to submit policies to the state by the beginning of July. Styles of cell phone bans have been a heated debate for parents and teachers over the last year.
My kids have watches, so they could have their watch at school. So, I don't know. I like to...
Does she have someone's name written on her breast?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to make certain assumptions and say that this woman is trashy. But if you're going to devote your left breast to a deceased relative, I don't even know how to respond to that.
You know what's embarrassing is that font that's on her top left chest and shoulder looks so much like my awful tattoo on my left shoulder. The one that has the name Randy Wang on it.
Think about this for a second, though. Someone in your family, someone in your social network dies, and you're extremely distraught about it. That happens to all of us. No one lives forever. And sometimes people have untimely deaths. Although, if she decided to devote her left breast to this person, my guess is they were murdered. Out of all the things that you could do, you could set up a scholarship fund. You can put up a picture of that person in your house. You can plant a tree. No, I'm going to put a tattoo on my left breast to honor a person who is no longer with us. It's like when you're driving around and you see some beat up beater in traffic next to you. Something that's not worth $800. And then you look at the back of it, blocking the entire back window in loving memory of Rogelio. And you go, I think I'd rather dedicate my left breast to Rogelio than this beat up jalopy.
Listener Street People of Los Angeles writes in, it's her ex-boyfriend's name she found out was cheating on her.
No, I don't think that's a boyfriend. I think that's a dead person.
Them and stuff here and then, like I would right after school or something. So I think they should have their phones.
And if I need to
guess what?
contact her,
Her kids are going to prison regardless, so I don't think the policy really matters much in that household.
I always call the office, and they're really good at if I have an emergency and I need to contact my daughter, I call the office, and they're related to the teacher.
There's also a school of thought against a bell-to-bell ban. Some argue students need access to their phones in the event of dire emergencies, like health emergencies, or something more extreme.
Yeah, what if someone brought Taco Bell lettuce to the school?
Who do you think she dedicated her ass cheeks to?
Johnny is working blue on a Friday.
Extreme, like a school shooting. The district says students will have access to phones under those circumstances, and students' phones would be confiscated if seen during school hours. Repeat offenders would require parents to pick up their device from the school. Other districts, like the Mount Diablo Unified School District, have signed on to this ban, whereas districts like San Francisco are hesitating for now and saying that children really only need to have the phones turned off away and stowed away while they're at school. Oakland's newest policy will take effect this fall. Reporting live this morning in Oakland, I'm James Torres, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
James. So there you go. In OUSD, no cell phones in the school from the time you get there till the time you go home.
Well, we've learned something every single day. Now I know you can put an obituary on your mammary. It's the John Phillips Show.
Something's not right here.
Crime is up all over the state.
The homelessness in the city is out of control.
The economy is sick. Taxes are high.
Housing is expensive and businesses are leaving.
California needs fixing. And John Phillips is just the man to lead the charge. It's the Fix California Hour with John Phillips and Randy Wang.
And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang is broadcasting live today from Toronto, Canada.
And John, a listener just gave me a challenge that, I'm not afraid to do it. Listener Barry doesn't believe that I actually have a tattoo. And I just realized I could either look up a picture, which I refuse to take pictures of this tattoo for the past 13 years, or I can roll up my sleeve.
Oh, my.
This was, without a doubt, the dumbest thing I've ever done. I was 23. I was real high on being a radio guy. I wasn't actually high, but I did just have a Triple King challenge at Fatburger. And I went to Zebra Tattoo on Hollywood Boulevard to get my fake radio name permanently etched into my skin. There. Can you see it? It's horrible.
I can see it. Well, Randy, now you can't ever be buried in a Jewish cemetery.
When I got it, I went to Magic Mountain the next day with my family, and my dad said, well, we're cutting you out of the will.
If you're watching us live on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, just when you think that George Gascon has wreaked as much havoc as he's capable of wreaking on the people of Los Angeles, he is back again. And Randy, if the United Nations were a person, I think it would be George Gascon, because all that guy does is run interference for murderers.
We got some wobbly knees allies.
Since George Gascon left office at the end of 2024, the County of Los Angeles has paid out over $14 million in retaliation lawsuits from deputy district attorneys who were treated very poorly under the Gascon administration, to say the least. Whether they were denied promotions, transferred from their important jobs to less important ones, or all other ways that they were diminished because they didn't buy into Gascon's insane ideology.
So we're mindful of all these things, but
by the way, one of our listeners gave us a great idea. There's a nickname that a listener gave us at a listener party back at Gelson's a couple of years ago for George Gascon. We can't say it on the radio, but we can say it on next week's accountability podcast, so make sure you subscribe.
do a Google on YouTube.
But for more on this report from the people at LA Material, here's one of their reporters on KTLA this morning.
Well, it's been nearly 2 years since LA County.
I don't miss that face.
I am so glad that he is gone. I know that Barbara Ferrer might be the most destructive public official in the state of California, but this guy was the most destructive elected official in the state of California.
Well, and he was a moving tornado. He destroyed San Francisco after getting appointed by Gavin Newsom, of all people, and then went down to Los Angeles when he got bored.
Look, it's horrifying.
District Attorney George Gascon was defeated by Nathan Hochman and left office. But a new report in LA Material suggests taxpayers are still...
We have a listener that occasionally will see him in his neighborhood in Long Beach, and sometimes they'll have some words.
And didn't Gascon's wife go nuts on him the last time?
Apparently.
Still feeling the effects of Gascon's sweeping
policy. Okay, look at him
change.
now with the glasses on. Doesn't he look like he has season seats to the WNBA there?
Quite frankly.
In a piece out today, the Gascon era is proving costly. Pulitzer.
This is the best new website in LA News. LA Material. They are fantastic. And yes, they came up with that Katie Porter Yelp story.
Prize-winning reporter Matt Hamilton reveals LA County has approved nearly $14 million in legal payouts in retaliation suits brought by prosecutors who worked under Gascon. And that number is expected to grow.
Yeah, LA Materials see.
How many deputy DAs did Gascon screw over in those 4 years?
Probably all the good ones.
Your reporter, Matt Hamilton, well, he joins us live now here in studio. Matt, good evening. Great to see you. Very
good to see you too.
Interesting article. As we were talking about, I mean, as someone out in the field a lot, I was hearing some of these rumblings about the complaints from other attorneys at the DA's office. Before we get to the $14 million that have been paid out thus far, let's take a step back. When George Gascon, he was sworn into office in December 2020.
It was a crazy time for everybody.
When you go back and think about what happened in that election, he ran on the platform of the only way to stop racism in Los Angeles County is to fire the black chick. That was essentially his platform, correct?
It was to get rid of Jackie Lacey, who had worked her way up to that office. And sure, there were some problems, but he was not the solution. And let's not forget some of the politicians that straight up stabbed her in the back by ditching their endorsement for her and endorsing Gascon, whether it be people like Adam Schiff or people like Eric Garcetti.
It's so wild to me that the crowd who sees racism in everything and every issue is racial to them, they all did the same thing as Gascon. We had a black female district attorney who was good at her job, was concerned about public safety, went after criminals, did everything a district attorney is supposed to do, and they went after her with a vengeance to replace her with this idiot.
Listener Barry writes in, Gascon sounds like Dudley Do-Right had a child with Charo.
Coochie
We got
coochie.
some wobbly knees allies.
And he quickly issued a series of directives aimed at fulfilling his mission of turning the DA's office into what you called the nation's largest experiment in progressive criminal justice reform. So if you could just talk to us, remind people about what changes we're talking about.
Killed all the lab mice.
Whoa.
What directives?
Sure. This was December 2020. This was after a summer of Black Lives Matter protests downtown LA, all over the city. And
yeah, remember when Melrose burned?
And every single Waymo?
really a time of...
Well, the Waymo, that was more 2025. Because Waymos weren't in LA in 2020.
reckoning with what law and order and tough on crime policies had done to Black and brown and marginalized communities. And George Gascon said, I'm going to change how we do business. And on his first day in office, he issued these directives that said, how children are never going to be prosecuted as adults, even if they're 17 years old and just a day or two shy of their 18th birthday.
And by the way, that policy right there, among all the other policies, may have been the most destructive, because it's that policy that has kept the worst of the worst offenders, instead of going to prison, staying in juvenile hall, further victimizing all the other kids in juvie. You want to know how the Bob Bonta Fight Club started at Los Padrinos? It's because George Gascon started sending all the gang members there instead of prison.
He said, we're going to take steps if there are gang members, if there are firearms involved. He looked at ways that they could reduce time in prison and other harsh sentences, and issued these blanket directives that said, no, we're going to try to minimize prison sentences and take a different approach to crime and punishment.
And just, I recall, a lot of these DAs were told before they even enter the courtroom, you are not allowed to go for the maximum penalty.
These were blanket policies. So the notion of discretion or nuance.
He came out on day one, and I remember this. I was covering it that day. And he put out 8 different categories of crimes that we were just not going to enforce anymore, including things like trespassing, which may have led to the rise in squatting.
Well, and let's not forget, this wasn't something that was unique to him. He was a cookie cutter of all the Soros DAs who were getting elected at that time, including Chesa Boudin in San Francisco and Pamela Price in Alameda County. And they even tried to take out Todd Spitzer in Orange County with a clone of Gascon.
Oh, it's good. It is a good sign that California got rid of all of these people at some point.
Bipping is back?
Sure.
Or case-by-case analysis, many DAs felt that it was kind of divorced from the facts in their particular cases and made it very difficult to do their jobs as attorneys who are sworn to uphold ethics.
All right, so 23 employees of the DA's office filed claims or suits against the office for retaliation after speaking out about those directives or changes. Let's talk a little bit about some of these claims and also the specific payouts.
California has a lot of protections for whistleblowers, and there was a lot of retaliation going on in that office during the Gascon era.
Oh, he came in and had the attitude of a bully. Of you either see the world the exact same way as me, or I'm going to destroy your career.
That it led to.
Yeah, these involve some of the most prominent prosecutors in the district attorney's office. So the Robert Durst case, if you saw HBO's The Jinx, the lead prosecutor on that case, John Lewin, he actually
That's a Tommy, I think.
Yeah, friend of the show.
Received the highest settlement. He said he wrote these memos criticizing Gascon. He was transferred from major crimes. He hadn't lost a case in nearly 25 years. One of the most elite prosecutors.
If you're Gascon, the objective is not to win convictions on people who did the crime. The objective was to let as many criminals out as possible. So if you're a prosecutor who's good at your job, he wanted to punish you just for that.
Listener Chris writes in, Gascon represented the San Francisco upper class theory of crime. Rich San Franciscans don't experience crime, so they think it doesn't really exist.
Bingo.
In the office, he was reassigned to Inglewood, handling routine matters in the courtroom. And other attorneys like John Hatami, who handled Gabriel Fernandez, he got a settlement for $1.5 million, said he was retaliated and defamed by...
Wow, Hatami cashed in.
Good for him.
Gascon. So,
how many of his friends have asked him for money in the last 6 months?
7- and 8-figure settlements for these prosecutors who said they suffered consequences. They didn't get promotions. They were passed over for assignments and key cases they were very, very good at.
Yeah, and reassigned. And Lewin received $2.8 million. That's the highest
That's
right
the
there.
highest.
But that doesn't even include legal fees.
Correct. The county, they would only tell me amounts that they had settled. So they've spent about $3.2 million in outside legal costs thus far. The actual number is much higher.
Okay, so
this is a drop in the bucket, by the way, to all the money the county is settling for other kinds of lawsuits, including all of which Nathan Hochman says are mostly illegitimate claims of sexual assault at the juvies.
Uh-oh.
But the one-time chief of staff of George Gascon, he's saying, these are all corrupt, that the people that are getting these checks is just because they were supporting DA Nathan Hochman, who is now our current DA.
Wait a minute. Some of them ran against him. John Hatami was a candidate himself. He ultimately ended up supporting Nathan Hochman in the runoff against George Gascon, but don't act like they're part of some political machine and they're being rewarded due to machine politics. They're being rewarded because George Gascon abused his power as district attorney to punish them in ways that were illegal.
He told me, look at who's getting these. They endorsed Nathan Hochman. They were critics of Gascon, and they're being rewarded with taxpayer dollars. Now, everyone involved in these cases says that's just not true. County settlements go through multiple layers of checkpoints. The Board of Supervisors votes on it, and one of these cases did go to trial. There was a trial in 2023, and a jury awarded one of the DA employees $1.5 million. And they're saying that was the baseline for all these. Because a jury already decided there was retaliation here. It makes more sense. It's more cost effective to settle.
Okay, but
yeah, this is going to go way up if they took all of these to trial, because you take a random jury, even in Los Angeles County, and they know that this guy was a boob.
So we're mindful of all these things, but
consensus in your reporting from both lawyers, it was that these suits had these suits gone to trial, the burden on taxpayers could have been much, much higher.
And the case where there was a 1.5 million, even her lawyer told me this was among the least egregious cases. So if the county were to take it to trial, they would be risking multiples of that, and taking a case to trial is expensive. The county has to pay for lawyers for weeks. They have to pay for all this other costs. And they said, if we can settle these for under 2 million, under 1.5 million, we're saving money.
All right, let's go for it. And obviously, LA County spent a lot of money on payouts every year.
Yes.
Why did you decide to dive into this particular case?
I think we think that when politicians, just because Gascon lost his election in 2024, doesn't mean that the long tail of his tenure isn't still being felt in county offices. And
there are ripple effects, like I said, with all of the juvenile gang members that could have gone to prison, because you stay in juvie till you're 25. You don't go to prison when you're 18. And then you get out and your record gets scrubbed. That has been a complete disaster that we're still living with every single day. And it's part of the reason none of the probation employees want to go to work.
My cousin, I think I said this on the radio before. I have a cousin who lives in Seal Beach, which is a very safe community in Orange County, North Orange County, just south of Long Beach, off the 405 freeway. And he had a new truck that was parked in front of his house overnight, and someone stole it. And the truck was found in South LA a couple days later, and an arrest was made. And my cousin was totally appalled that the vehicle was stolen right out of his driveway. So he decided that he was going to find out who did it. He was going to do a little bit of research and figure out all of those details. And he sent me a copy of the guy's rap sheet, which goes on like a CVS receipt, where this guy was picked up for just about every imaginable crime for a long period of time. And what's most notable is all of the arrests and all of the convictions that took place while George Gascon was the district attorney in Los Angeles. And he would break the law, get arrested, get convicted, be released, and then a short period of time later, rinse and repeat, over and over and over again. And it's not just the people of LA County that are victimized by these thugs. It's everyone else too, because if you're a resident of LA County, you can go to any county you want. You can go to any state you want. You're not expected to stay within the confines of LA County. And the amount of crime that has gone on, not just in Los Angeles, but all over California and all over the country, because Gascon refused to do his job for 4 years, is immeasurable.
This is just one way in which, the workplace policy, the bill comes due several years later. And this is an example, this court fight goes on for years.
Yeah, sure, and there's still 9 more.
There's still 9 more, and other cases against Gascon. So.
Yeah, and all taxpayer money, $14 million and counting.
Yeah,
all right.
Going up.
LA Material senior reporter Matt Hamilton, be sure to check out this article that came out today. Thank you so much.
Thank you both for having me.
That paper, that website is doing great work, including Katie Porter's Yelp reviews.
It's the John Phillips Show.
Purchase necessary to enter or win. Sweepstakes open to U.S. residents only, except New York and Florida. 18 and older. Enter 11-126. Void where prohibited. For official rules, visit CarProSweeps.com. Sponsor Acuity Marketing, Inc. DBA CarPro.
Now is one of the best times to enter to win a 26 Corvette Stingray at carpro.com. For a limited time, qualifying entry packages receive up to 30 times the entries. Win a brand new 2026 Corvette Stingray or $40,000 cash. This special launch promotion won't last long, so don't wait. Go to carpro.com today and get entered. Now, let's talk more about carpro.com. Listen to this 5-star review from listener Jerry from Westminster about her experience with carpro.com and Honda World of Westminster. Quote, Ray and Sonny were the absolute best, and I can't even describe how much they treated me like I was important to them. Class acts, and I can't thank or appreciate them enough, end quote. For the same VIP treatment and rockstar pricing, go to carpro.com and put in what you're looking for, or call or text Tom Haynes directly on his cell phone at 818-435-6797. Stop doing it the hard way. Go to carpro.com. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, not only can you listen to the show on the radio, but you can watch us on YouTube. If you are, please click that like button, and you can also participate in the chat.
We're here live. It's the most interactive this show has ever been. Not only do you get to watch us, you get to watch the stories and react along with us, but you get to play around in the chat room at youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio. It is something that you can only do when this show is live because all those chats disappear as soon as it's over at 3 o'clock. So check us out. And if you can't watch this stuff right now because you're working and you actually have to work or you're driving, all the stuff is up on demand. So watch it tonight or over the weekend. youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio.
And if you want fresh content over the weekend, go subscribe to the Accountability Podcast right now.
youtube.com/@Accountability Podcast.
The Fix California Hour continues in moments. Don't you go anywhere.
I love my Solar infrared grill. I'm going to see it tomorrow night when I'm back in Southern California. Maybe I need to defrost a couple of steaks, do a little flat iron with some hitching post seasoning. I like to do 2 minutes on high on each side, then do about 3 minutes on low on each side. Maybe if it's a thicker one, I'll do the sides as well. Oh, the Solar Infrared Grill does such a great job. It's a hot and fast grill. It gets up to 1,000 degrees in just 3 minutes. No waiting 20 minutes for the grill to get to temp. You can start cooking right away, which even if you've got a really busy schedule, and I work like 12 hours a day now, well, that means you still have time for grilling. So check it out. I'm a big fan. BestHotGrill.com/Randy. That's BestHotGrill.com/Randy. When you're ready to upgrade your grilling game, check it out. See if it makes sense for you. BestHotGrill.com/Randy. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you're watching us live on YouTube and you haven't hit the like button,
Please hit that now. We're just under 200, and we'd like that number to go as high as possible. Right now, it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
We couldn't make this stuff up if we tried.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
It's the California Crime Blotter.
And this edition takes us to Livermore.
A restaurant had to be evacuated because of a fire, and the way they name these fires is so stupid. They name it after whatever street it started on. This one was called the Little Fire. And while the restaurant was evacuated, somebody thought it would be a great idea to break in and steal all their meat.
Well, I guess stolen meat is better than rotting meat, as we've learned from Boyle Heights.
For more, here is a report from KPIX.
Livermore restaurant owner is really in shock tonight after becoming a victim during a wildfire. Now, nothing burned, but the restaurant was looted not once, but twice in the same day.
They got a repeat customer.
That is so ridiculous.
Yep.
Here is a look at the surveillance video. Some thieves took advantage during the Little Fire that burned in Alameda County earlier.
The Little Fire. You want to know the most ridiculous one? It was a couple of weeks ago. There was a fire in Jurupa Valley, and it was called the Volcano Fire.
Well, how about the fire in Northern California in Amador County? Remember that one?
What was that one called?
The Puda Fire.
That's right. That was a good one.
Earlier this week, you could see them just walking in the restaurant after it was shut down early as the flames got closer and closer, and a lot of people were...
They're not even in any kind of hurry. They're just kind of moseying along.
Well, it's Alameda County. Who's going to arrest them?
Stressed and concerned. That fire broke out Tuesday, burning more than 1,000 acres near Pleasanton and Sunol. It's now about 75% contained, but firefighters are still there, mopping up hot spots as they look into what caused the fire. Evacuation orders covered multiple neighborhoods, including the Ruby Hill area. Those orders were lifted yesterday. The burglarized restaurant sits across the street from that area and technically was not in the evacuation zone. You can see DeBoquerie Falls just outside of the red area on the map, but out of caution, they put up a sign saying they were closed around 4 p.m. When they came...
I mean, not a whole lot of people are going to want to go in there if they think the neighborhood's going to torch up any minute.
Hey, honey, how was your day at work? Well, it was kind of bad. Well, what happened? We got looted twice.
Back the next day, though, they didn't find ashes. They didn't find anything damaged. Instead, they realized more than $1,000 worth of meat was missing.
That's a lot of burgers.
Kevin Coe talked to the general manager about the loss.
When a wildfire forced mandatory evacuations across the street from debauchery, General Manager Mitchell Bryant...
Oh, I get it now. Debauchery. That's an interesting name for a restaurant.
Play on words.
These
didn't
fridges
hesitate.
Were not. Between myself and our owner, we decided to close early for the safety of the staff and the guests.
As the little fire threatened homes, spreading smoke and tension across the Tri-Valley, this man broke in to debauchery's back gate.
He had cut this bolt, gone in. He had taken a look around to see what he could get into.
Surveillance video shows the man in the locked area, looking around.
Wait, is he covering his face because of security cameras, or is he covering his face because he's worried about inhaling the smoke?
It's probably the smoke. If the fire caused them to shut down early, my guess is it was pretty bad.
Using his shirt to cover his face. Then he walks to an outdoor refrigerator, walking out with a case of burgers and tri-tip.
Okay, you want to know how to catch this guy?
How's that?
Figure out who's having the biggest barbecue this weekend.
Himself to the meat that we keep stored in there.
Hours later, at about 10:30 p.m., surveillance video shows a man who appears to be wearing the same clothing as before. Break in again.
This time he brought a friend.
Wait, so what's he going to steal this time? Tomatoes and lettuce?
Listener James writes in, beef is expensive nowadays, and how popular is liver in Livermore? And I got an email here from Alan in Napa. At one point, there was a fire in Napa County called the Hooker Fire in Hooker Canyon. Listener Gravity says he's trying to sell the beef on Craigslist.
This time, he brought a friend, taking 4 more cases of burgers along with bacon and cheese.
It's got a real combo platter going. If he didn't bring any buns, maybe he's low carbonate.
Well, we know he's not lactose intolerant.
Just shy of like $1,000 worth of product that we spent on it. You know, the lost potential in what we could have made off of it is obviously much higher.
$950 is generally the benchmark for whether a theft is a misdemeanor or a felony. Livermore police tell me this is an active investigation, and it is considered a felony crime.
It's felony beef theft.
Okay, that second video didn't hide his face. You could see the guy's face on there. Using AI technology, can they not figure out who that was? Livermore is not that big.
The optimist in me would like to think that maybe he's trying to feed a family or...
No.
Come on.
You don't need to say this.
Idiot.
Got some other personal problems that this was his only recourse, but honestly...
This is not Jean Valjean.
These people have a very French Revolution idea of these kinds of crimes.
I just think it was opportunistic.
Well, the restaurant just reported the theft today. The general manager says their first thought was that all the product was misplaced until they looked at their surveillance footage and realized what actually happened.
Yeah, it's misplaced, all right. It's in that guy's fridge.
Well, it's a good thing they don't have a security camera inside the walk-in fridge, because you sometimes have to wonder how much food's getting eaten by the employees. I speak from experience. When I worked at Magic Mountain and I was opening the ice cream shop every morning, I would stuff my face full of cheesecake.
They can't release any more information as they are actively investigating.
So there you go. The Livermore restaurant debauchery got all their beefies stolen.
So let's go over what he stole. He stole a bunch of burgers.
Yes.
He stole bacon. And he stole cheese. And the type of cheese was not identified, correct?
They did not say what type of cheese.
He's making Western bacon cheeseburgers.
Need some onion rings. All right, I have to put this one on the screen. Listener Rania writes in, I'm surprised, Randy. No offense, please. Looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy and not a small Asian guy. Love you, Randy. I really do. Woohoo!
What kind of loser do you have to be to risk going to jail over stealing burgers? And if you're stealing $1,000 worth of burgers, my guess is you and whoever it is that you have in your circle cannot eat them in time before they go bad. I guess you could freeze it. But what? So you're going to eat burgers for a year that you stole from a restaurant, and you think that's worth it as a grown man?
It's the thuggish version of I'm going to buy half a cow and eat it all year.
And then what do you tell your wife when you come home with all of this stolen beef and stolen bacon and stolen cheese? So, honey, did you go to Sam's Club? Well, something like that.
He was bringing home the bacon.
There are some people who are just never going to get with the program. If you're an adult and you think this is a risk worth taking and this is a good use of your time, I don't think there's any redeeming that person. I really don't.
Well, it's a new word for our vernacular, everyone. Livermore's got a beef thief on the loose.
It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. And a very lively chat is going on right now from those watching us on YouTube and beyond.
A very lively discussion about how not Chinese I am. I've told the story a million times. I thought I was a quarter Chinese. We found out my dad's adopted. Also, my last name is not Wang, it's Wong.
If you're watching us live on YouTube, please click that like button. We're just shy of 200. We'd like to get that number as high as possible. It really pushes us out on the YouTube platform in front of more people, the higher we get that number. All right, it's now time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again. It's Wild Wild West out here.
It's the California Crime Blotter with John
and Randy.
And Randy, this edition takes us to Morgan Hill,
where now the copper wire thieves are going after the street lights. For more, here's KTVU, Fox 2.
South Bay reporter Jesse Gary live there tonight with more on the crime, the motive, and advice from police investigators. Jesse.
Claudine, good evening to you. And remember when we were kids, you'd hear, be in before the street lights come on. Well, hard to do that when the street lights don't come on.
Good point.
Neighbors say they first noticed the crime last weekend, but what really has them shocked and has these cones out here, they hit the same stretch of road for the second time in just 4 days. Orange cones now marking the 24 locations in Morgan Hill where streetlights have been vandalized.
This happened in my neighborhood a couple years ago. It took months to get them repaired, and it's only gotten worse. Now, if your streetlights get destroyed, maybe they'll get fixed in a year.
And it's not people who are stealing the copper wire so they can feed their hungry family. It's crackheads who want to feed their drug addiction.
It's unfair, and I feel like we're already crunched with prices as well. Now the city has to pay for this, right, to replace it, and it keeps happening.
Morgan Hill police suspect a two-person crew is likely responsible for stealing several hundred feet of copper wire from at least 24 streetlights on Olympic Drive.
It's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars to fix all of that, and maybe they'll make $100 off of it.
And if you're driving around in the dark, just imagine how many accidents are going to happen because the street lights weren't on.
Saturday and again Wednesday.
We know, looking at the street lights, the wiring, the same tamper marks, same kind of method of removing the wire was observed.
Yeah, usually the solution here is to cement in all the access panels. So if the electric company actually has to go in there and look at something, they'll need a jackhammer.
Please say
this could be an easy problem to solve if you find the people who are doing it and you put them in jail, or you find the people who are accepting the stolen copper wire at the various shops that rely on business licenses, and you pull their licenses.
That's the part of the story that always confuses me. Why there isn't way more resources being thrown from city attorneys and district attorneys to shut down these operators or to make it way harder to sell this stuff. How is it that you don't have to have a permit to sell copper? Like, where are you getting the copper from? We got to be looking at all the junkers, all the smelters, all of that stuff, because this stuff is so heavy. It's not like it's getting shipped overseas and then sold.
Thousands of dollars.
Remember when they stole all the lights at the 6th Street Bridge in Los Angeles? And then the LA City Council in their budget hearing wanted to allocate money to relighting the 6th Street Bridge. And it would be an Olympics project. And the LA City Council member, Bob Blumenfeld, said, well, I don't think you're going to want to pay to fix it now because they'll just rip it down again before the Olympics.
And damage has been done to the lights, leaving this neighborhood in the dark when the sun goes down.
this is happening in a lot of places. Like I said, it happened at my work as well.
Experts say reselling stolen copper is valuable because it can be used in everything from computers to cars to cell phones.
It is a good conductor for the signal, so the signals go fast. Also for the heat, it's good. So this is why you see all those companies.
Why is this guy's background image a data center?
Don't tell the angry members of the community where he's at. He'll have people picket signs outside his front door.
They're really going on the manufacturing these electronics with the copper.
A lot of times the thieves will steal this wire so they can sell it either to a recycle vendor.
We talked to one
I
of...
wonder how much stolen copper wire California Waste Solutions gets.
Good question.
The nearest recycle...
I mean, we just... Not saying that every recycling center is crooked here, but we know that one specific recycling company in Oakland is a straight-up criminal organization.
Okay, why can't you conduct a sting and send someone dressed up like a crackhead into one of these recycling centers and try to sell them stolen copper wire, and if they buy the copper wire from the crackhead, pull their business license?
Listener Jimmy writes in with a question: why don't they want to arrest and punish crime? I don't understand.
Yeah, you and me both, buddy.
Vendors to the latest crime scene. Managers at Martin's Recycling say they record the time and date of each sale and require a driver's license, signature, and thumbprint to guard against receiving stolen property.
You know what's weird? You need an act of parliament before you buy Sudafed. Good luck getting a CVS to sell you Sudafed unless the pharmacy is open and you go back and you talk to the pharmacist and you convince them that you're not Walter White in Breaking Bad. For whatever reason, they lock that up like it's in Fort Knox. Yet with the copper wire, it's just anything goes.
We've got to make the standards way stricter than what was just detailed by this recycling company. You need to be a registered business if you're going to be selling this stuff. And they're never going to do that because I'm sure there's somebody on Capitol, there's somebody in the state capitol that'd be like, well, this is how some of the homeless make their living, from selling junk metal.
Yeah, well, let me give you a little tip. If some guy walks into your shop looking like they're homeless, fidgeting, and on the phone with Hunter Biden, and they want to sell you copper wire, you tell them to get lost.
Criminals are criminals. They find ways to overpass or to go around those kind of rules.
Morgan Hill police say the city has put in a repair order with a third party, but it's going to take some time to get all of these light poles repaired. In the meantime, they suggest people use caution when out at night in this area. And if you see something suspicious, like a vehicle parked next to a light pole...
Well, you're not going to be able to see something suspicious because it's dark.
Yeah, you're not going to see anything.
In the very late hours or very early hours of the morning, give police a call. We're live in Morgan Hill this evening. Jesse Gary, KTVU, Fox 2 News. Claudine, back up the freeway to Oakland and to you.
All right, Jesse, thank you. Certainly, I imagine so frustrating for that.
So there you go. In Morgan Hill, they're living in a land of darkness because of rampant copper wire thieving.
How do these crackheads not get electrocuted more often?
We hear about one of those stories every once in a while, especially when they're going for more than just the wire. They're like going for the full access panel. But maybe they stole some rubber gloves from Home Depot first.
I wonder if all of the electricity in the neighborhood goes out if a bum gets deep fat fried while trying to steal copper wire.
Listener Ron writes in, these same recycling centers take in copper and catalytic converters. Yep, they melt that stuff down for the platinum.
Remember that scene from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation when the cat bites into the line, the Christmas lights, and gets electrocuted?
Yes.
I would imagine it works in a similar sort of way when the bums get electrocuted when they're trying to steal the copper wire. It has to be on videotape somewhere.
Bring a flashlight if you go into Morgan Hill, everybody.
All right, we've got one more hour to go right here on The John Phillips Show.
Something's not right here.
Crime is up all over the state.
The homelessness in the city is out of control.
The economy is sick. Taxes are high.
Housing is expensive and businesses are leaving.
California needs fixing. And John Phillips is just the man to lead the charge. It's the Fix California Hour with John Phillips and Randy Wang.
And we continue at 2:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Toronto, Canada.
And we did not just travel back in time. It is 2 o'clock. Johnny, we're broadcasting live at youtube.com/@Randy Wang Radio. You can also do what George Gascon always tells you to do.
Do a Google on YouTube.
And search on YouTube for John Phillips, Randy Wang. It shows up right there. And if you can't find it that way, send us an email like listener Bob just did, and I'll send you the link to today's show as well as the link to the channel so you can be on us every single time we go live. We're here noon to 3 every single day. Also broadcasting on the radio on 790 KABC and 810 KSFO.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, please click that like button. We want to get that number as high as humanly possible. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. He is a political consultant and strategist who was part of the group that put the recall of Gavin Newsom on the ballot during the COVID-19. During the COVID-19 shutdowns. Mr. Randy Economy, welcome.
Oh, we're having a few little technical difficulties here, John, but everything in that is great. How are you, John? Hello, Randy. It's good to see both of you.
Well, thanks so much for stopping by.
It's only 115 degrees outside here in Palm Springs.
All right. Let's start out by talking about a story that we did earlier today involving a member of the Oakland City Council who was beaten and robbed and held captive by a member of the Cannabis Commission in that city, a member of a commission, by the way, of the commission that was appointed by the same councilwoman who got beat up and robbed, allegedly, Rowena Brown. I always tell people, Randy, that politics, people think that presidential politics are vicious and nasty and all of those things. And it is. I mean, that is not a statement that's untrue.
Sure.
But I always tell people that if you want to see really vicious politics and you want to see it at really a hand-to-mouth level, look to local government. Local government, local political races are the ones that sometimes can be the most vicious on planet Earth. And you've been in this business a long time, running races at various levels, the city level, the state level, the federal level, you name it, you've done it. Just explain to us how vicious those local races can be.
You know what? All politics is local, John. And as much as you want to deny it or accept it, it's the bane of democracy. And it's where the rubber hits the road for all of us. But boy, I'll tell you, it can be so freaking nasty. I know right now there's a current situation in Cerritos, my hometown, which I love dearly, that they're trying to recall 2 members of the city council. And they are working their butts off trying to collect these signatures. And it has turned into an absolute nasty brawl. And it doesn't have to be that way, but in politics, it does become that way. And I think what's going on in Oakland is just a barometer of where we're at within a state as far as corruption is concerned. And where the fact that we don't have people like John Phillips and Randy Wang to be able to hold them accountable more. And what you guys do is nothing.
There goes the phone again.
Oh, sorry about that. Gosh darn it, guys. Hang on. All right, here we go. We're back.
Did he just hang up?
I think he did.
If he comes back, we'll bring him in the room. I guess we're going to have to do a blooper show at some point.
The camera went down twice, if you're listening to us on the radio, down to the floor. And then when he picked it up the next time, it just went away.
And he's back.
I don't mean to laugh. I'm laughing at myself now. It's hard getting good technical assistance here in the California desert of Palm Springs, But I'm back, and I do
Now,
apologize.
now, you've worked with candidates at the
Yes,
local level who've been murdered,
of
including the
course.
councilman from Bell Gardens.
He was one of my very best friends, Daniel Crespo. I'll never forget the day that Daniel got murdered and got shot by his ex-wife. And I'm sitting there, and actually, I was working with Daniel on a campaign right then and there, and his wife got pissed off and killed him. And politics can be a vicious game, and what happened to Daniel Crespo was not by accident. It was, I think it was much more nefarious than what it turned out to be. And she ended up getting some jail time, but she ended up getting his inheritance too. Which, at the end of the day, if you sit and think about it, I mean, talk about money for hire. And being able to cash out after doing the dirty deed, it's just not right. But I think the thing is that when politics becomes nasty, and it does become nasty, all politics is local, and that's kind of what we have to just keep that in mind.
For sure. All right, let's switch to the governor's race because earlier this week, Steve Hilton launched his campaign, his fall campaign for governor. And he chose to do it, I thought, at a very appropriate place, which is outside that cold storage facility in Boyle Heights that was on fire for a long period of time. And now the smell of rotting meat has made that neighborhood almost unbearable to be in. And the government has fallen on its face yet again. Those people were not evacuated. Barbara Ferrer and the mayor, Karen Bass, went to them and told them, as this chemical fire was burning, that it was perfectly safe to breathe in the smoke. Now, apparently, they're bleeding from the nose, their lungs are filled with fluids, and they show up to these public health clinics, and they're being given Tylenol and told to go home. And Bass is giving money to NGOs to give them Lysol and air purifiers instead of evacuating them from the area. And I think it really is a very good example as to how the government on any level in California just doesn't work. And in a one-party state, if you want the government to change, you have to start voting differently. And I thought that was a really important theme, a very persuasive argument that he made at this event. Your thoughts?
All politics is local, and what's happening in Los Angeles right now in that meat cat packing facility is nothing short of a criminality on steroids. Criminals need to be dealt with, and I think what has happened there is much more deep and dark than we can probably ever imagine. I have lots of friends who live in that neighborhood, and it's absolutely disgusting what's going on. I don't know if Steve Hilton can fix this situation. I don't know what can happen other than the fact that the more public pressure that can be put on this particular situation, the better it's going to be. And so I applaud Steve Hilton for taking his campaign right to the devil's door, so to speak, to be able to expose this. I don't see Javier Becerra down there. I mean, I know that he is kind of on cruise mode right now on his campaign for governor, but these types of problems really do matter. And it's impactful, and it hurts, and it kills people. And I think this is just the worst of the situation that we are witnessing right now.
As the man who was one of the first ones to warn us about Gavin Newsom and about all of his failures and deficiencies, what do you make of the fact that he is yet to show up to Boyle Heights and meet with the residents in this area as they live through this environmental and public health disaster?
I think he's mentally checked out of California. I mean, he's basically counting the days for his replacement. I don't think he really gives two craps about what's going on in East LA. And for that, it's sad. That's just out of Gavin's playbook. He's too busy right now worrying about Nevada and going to other states and starting his campaign for president. So I don't really anticipate him being other than just a missing in action governor for the next 90 days to 120 days. The one that I really feel that is really dropping the ball on this to really show some leadership is Javier Becerra. Javier represented that area in the state assembly and in the state senate. That's his hometown. That's where he chose to live after he moved from Northern California down to Southern California. So Javier Becerra has a lot of questions that he needs to answer, and he needs to be showing some leadership to be able to really, really help those people. I don't see Javier Becerra down there doing anything right now.
If Steve Hilton were to call you right now and say, Randy, I believe Javier Becerra is going to run like Joe Biden did in 2020, which is to stay in the basement, make as little noise as possible, and rely on the registration advantage to win the election, what advice would you give Steve Hilton to lure Javier Becerra out of the basement so that we actually can have a conversation about the future of the state?
You know what? You can, as a matter of fact, I exchanged some text messages with Steve just a couple of days ago. And he's got some really big challenges to have to deal with. Javier Becerra doesn't have to do anything right now, but he's so far out in front. Being able to engage him, I think is a challenge, but it's not an impossible challenge. I think the more clever that Steve can continue to be, and I know that he's launching some new viral videos that are really, really appealing and very, very sexy and very, very fun. But that keeps the pressure on Javier Becerra. You can't run against Gavin Newsom right now. You got to run against Javier Becerra. And that is my advice, to be able to take the case right directly to Javier. I would almost go nuclear. I would get a copy of Javier's calendar, and I would follow him to events. I would demand FaceTime with Javier Becerra if I was Steve Hilton. Take the campaign directly into a direction that almost becomes covert and militaristic without the guns. And to really go after this situation, one hook, line, and sinker.
Officials in the Biden administration have been saying nasty things about Javier Becerra in the papers.
Yep. And I've known Javier for 35 years. I mean, I've known him forever. He's not a good guy.
Their assessment of him is that he is woefully unprepared. He doesn't do any of the reading. He doesn't show up to meetings prepared to answer questions. He is someone you cannot rely on. He's someone who causes meetings to go off the rails. And they cannot believe that he is the Democratic nominee for governor in the state of California. What is your read on his abilities as a politician, and what kind of governor do you think he would be?
Well, I think the thing that's scary right now is the fact that he has a 30-point lead over Steve Hilton. And when you get that unsurmountable amount of lead, you can do a couple of things. You can run and hide, which I think he's trying to do. Or you can just, he's basically on cruise control. That doesn't make it right. It gives Steve, I think, a wonderful opportunity to be able to go ahead and to pounce on him. And to pounce on his political frailties, so to speak. I mean, Javier Becerra is not a smart guy. He's not a rocket scientist. He got really lucky, and he picked and chose where he was going to run, and he ran in a district that didn't take a lot of votes to get elected to the legislature at the very beginning, some 20 or 30 years ago. That's kind of been his modus operandi. But again, he needs to be smoked out. You need to get this guy out from the corners, and you'd be able to engage with him. And the only way you can do that is to basically almost do like a guerrilla type warfare campaign. You need to follow him. Steve needs to become almost like a stalker of this guy for Javier Becerra to even give two craps about him.
Javier Becerra served in the House before he became Attorney General of California and Secretary of Health and Human Services.
Yes, he did.
And he was in leadership when he was in the House. And he got on the wrong side of Nancy Pelosi. Apparently, he threw her under the bus in front of a Democratic caucus meeting on a number of occasions. And she had and has a very low opinion of him. Are you surprised that someone was able to win the Democratic nomination for governor despite being on the wrong side of Nancy Pelosi in California?
At this point, I think Nancy Pelosi is one of the most ineffective and inconsequential members of the House, throughout the whole country. I mean, she's got a bigger fish to fry. She just needs to go away. And I think for her to continually fight this battle that she continues to wage is nothing more than idiotic and comical at the same account. And I think when you see how Javier Becerra is running and trying to run away from people like Nancy Pelosi, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a very effective thing for Javier.
Nancy Pelosi not only has a low opinion of Javier Becerra, apparently she has a low opinion of Scott Wiener, the state senator who is running to replace her as the Congress member from San Francisco.
Yes.
But he finished in first in the primary, and it
Yes,
looks
he did.
like he is the favorite to win that election in November. Are you surprised that he's doing as well as he is, despite all this negative attention that he seems to generate on a regular basis?
You know, all politics is local, and one thing that I may not agree with Scott politically, but I will tell you one thing: Scott has created he really has become sort of a big deal within that district, and people are very loyal to him. I mean, he may get yelled at, he may get screamed at, he may be ran out of community events by extreme leftists. But at the end of the day, Scott Wiener's in the driver's seat. And I think at the end of the day, maybe that may not be a bad thing for America to have a person like Scott Wiener on the national stage, just to show the idiocy of this guy. The other woman that is running for his seat, I don't really give her much of a chance unless something really big happens. But who knows? I don't know. But as of right now, I think, as much as I dislike Scott Wiener, I got to give him props.
The DSA has been doing well in Democratic primaries, not just in New York, but in Colorado and here in California in the Central Valley. What do you make of the DSA winning all of these races? And do you think this is foreshadowing for what's going to happen in the 2028 presidential Democratic primary?
You know what? I think it's kind of a fad, but it's an effective fad. And I think the more that one thing that Trump is trying to do right now, which I think is very effective, is instead of referring to them as socialists, he's referring to them as communists. And when you start doing things like that, when you have Mandani making these outlandish comments like he's going to go ahead and arrest Netanyahu, the more they show their hand, the more people start getting a little concerned. I think right now that you start pulling that here in California, which they have. They're doing a yeoman's job to be able to go ahead and create division. I think one thing that's going to have to happen is that the Democratic Party is going to have to say, listen, if you're being a member of the DSA is not being a member of the Democratic Party. You need to start your own party. And I know that. I remember when I was working for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. when he was running for president against President Trump, we tried to get him on the ballot in different states, and we decided to start our own party called the We the People Party. That was a disaster. It was an absolute freaking disaster. I mean, I think we had to get 93,000 people to change their registration to the We the People Party here in California. I think we got about 15,000 to do it. Even as a senior advisor, I wouldn't even become a member of the party, of the We the People Party. I'll stick to my no party preference and try to do so. But I think what we do is we can take a lessons on democracy, and I think it's kind of I think being DSA is sort of the soup du jour, and I think it's the great thing on the menu right now. But at the end of the day, within the next couple of years, it's either going to be huge and they're going to completely take over the Democratic establishment and to create their own party, or it's going to be coming like a fly-by-night thing.
Randy Economy, political strategist extraordinaire. You can follow him on X at Economy Radio. Randy Economy, thanks so much for stopping by. Have a great weekend.
You too, guys, and thank you so much for everything. And sorry about the phone drops.
No worries. Randy Economy, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. We have 30 more minutes to go. Don't you go anywhere.
Car accidents happen constantly. If you happen to get hurt in one, you got to call my buddy, Clark Fielding, and the Jaws of Justice at Fielding Law. I've been giving out this guy's phone number and talking about him for over 8 years, which is a very long time to do an endorsement. And that's because we believe in Clark, and Clark believes in us. If you get hurt in any kind of accident, the phone number that you need is 833-88-SHARK, 833-887-4275. In fact, if you're in a safe place to do so, put the number in your phone, 833-887-4275. Put the name accident or Clark Fielding, accident attorney, Clarkity Sharkity, whatever you're going to remember, so you'll have somebody that you can speed dial to when you need the help. 833-88-SHARK, clarkthesharklaw.com.
Hurt in an accident? Bite back. Call Clark. 833-88-SHARK, clarkthesharklaw.com.
It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you can not only listen to the show on the radio, but you can also watch us on YouTube and click that like button where we're over 200, but we still have a half hour to get to 300 and beyond.
We do this show now, not just on the radio, but on video. You can watch us and hang out with us every single day from noon to 3 at youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio. Also, X @JohnnyDon'tLike. We've got a lively chat room. We're having a lot of fun in here. And of course, you can watch the videos along with us, react to the show. It's a good time. If you can't be watching us live right now and you're listening on the radio, check out the channel afterwards. Everything is available on demand at youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio.
And if you want fresh new content for the weekend, go subscribe to the Accountability Podcast right now.
Accountability. We put together an extra hour every single week. It's our brand new Accountability Podcast. We did a deep dive on the investigation into Gavin Newsom's diaper contract, as well as that weird interview with Jen Newsom and Stephanie Ruhle on MS Now. We cover all of it and the investigations into Gavin Newsom. Check it out, youtube.com/@Accountability Podcast.
Now, we just had a discussion with strategist Randy Economy about what Steve Hilton is going to do to lure Javier Baccaria out of the basement and force him to answer questions, debate the future of the state, and meet voters. As of now, Baccaria has shown zero interest in doing any of that. Another thing that Hilton is going to have to do if he's going to be competitive in this election is he's going to have to win the votes of people who did not vote for Donald Trump. California voted for Kamala Harris. It voted for Joe Biden. It voted for Hillary Clinton. 3 out of 3 opportunities, they voted against Donald Trump. It's a deep blue state. There's no way it works for Steve Hilton without getting Democrat support in the November election. And Randy, he recently explained just exactly how he plans on doing that.
For more on this, here's a report from ABC7 in the Bay.
Now to Your Voice, Your Vote. And Republican candidate for governor Steve Hilton has a new question for California voters. Can you be anti-Trump and still vote for him?
Interesting question, and that is the message in a new full-page ad in the San Francisco Chronicle as the Trump-backed candidate looks to close the large gap between him and Democrat Javier Becerra.
ABC7 Eyewitness News political reporter Monica Madden is here now with more from both of the campaigns. Monica.
Oh, and Dan, after the primaries, we typically see campaign season really rev up after Labor Day, but it's an uphill.
Now we're starting early.
Middle of summer.
At least there's no more Tom Steyer ads.
I'm Tom Steyer, and I'm about to ride the D.
Battle for Steve Hilton, which is why we might start seeing his ads earlier as the Republican looks to sway purple voters.
I get it. Maybe you hate Trump, MAGA, whatever.
In new campaign ads Wednesday, Steve Hilton is looking to appeal to never Trumpers.
Life here has become impossible for anyone who isn't already rich.
But with the backing of President Donald Trump, I wanted to ask Hilton about this shift in his messaging.
Do you think the president's endorsement of you is a liability in California?
No, I think it's a positive thing. There's so many things where it would be better for Californians if we had a more constructive relationship with the federal government.
Hilton says he's...
Gavin likes a fight, though.
And what he said is true, especially if you have a governor that's going to deliver. If you have a governor and an attorney general who's interested in rooting out the fraud that the state of California is facilitating, then the federal government would be more likely to give us more money if they knew that it wasn't going to be stolen by crooks.
Listener Jimmy writes in, Trump needs to turn on him to give him any chance at all.
Not naive about the state's Democratic supermajority.
And I'm just trying to be very honest and clear with people and say, look, I'm not an ideologue. I'm a pragmatic problem solver. with business experience.
He probably is the most educated policy guy of any party that's ever run for an office like this. I mean, you go to his website and every single platform has like a 16-page book of ideas. He has done his homework, and it's a far cry from the days of John Cox and his bear.
Well, he wrote a book about it, too, about all the problems facing the state of California and what solutions he thinks will get us out of this hole.
Gavin wrote one of those books, too, called Citizenville. Didn't work out too well.
Government reform experience. Yes, it's true. I'm a Republican. It's true that I was on Fox News. I'm endorsed by Trump. That's all true. But it's also true that I've got some positive, practical plans to make life better.
A spokesman for Javier Becerra telling ABC7, quote, "If you're sick of high prices at the pump and the produce aisle, voters won't find salvation in Donald Trump's disciple. You can't..."
Now, wait a minute. Why is it that gasoline is more expensive in California than in all other states in the union? That's not Donald Trump. It's more expensive here than in all the states that border us. Nevada, Arizona, Oregon. It's even more expensive here than it is in Hawaii, and everything has to be shipped in by vessel.
The affordability crisis while carrying water for the man causing it.
For Steve Hilton to have any chance, he would have to break into a lot of those independent voters and then also more moderate, less partisan Democratic voters.
Political data guru Paul Mitchell says this race is ultimately a numbers
By the way,
game.
I love the fact that they leave out that he was the one that drew the lines for Proposition 50. And they act like he's just some sort of independent analyst who's here to explain what's going on.
Well, he does have the website, Political Data.
If he is extremely effective at doing this, he might have an ability to deflate some of the anti-Trump fervor from the Democratic side.
Doesn't his hair kind of look like he stuck a fork in a light socket?
Yeah, he looks like he was stealing some copper wire and had a tough time with it.
And do something to increase Republican engagement, maybe soften the anti-Republican stance of a lot of more moderate Democrats.
Last week's PPIC poll shows Becerra leading Hilton by a wide margin.
Come on, California. I mean, I know it's just one poll and it's early, but that is, come on.
It's depressing.
Scrub it.
61% of people in that poll looked at Javier Becerra and said, it shows you that it's all about partisanship and it has nothing to do with the candidate.
Here's the sad part. I think if the Eric Swalwell rape allegations dropped after the primary instead of before, and he won the primary, I think the numbers would be about exactly the same.
61 to 36%.
And with those numbers, Mitchell tells me it's not a question of whether Becerra will win, but how he might win. After speaking with the Becerra team, they tell me that they're not going to take...
Notice how she's speaking with the team because Javier Becerra is not doing any interviews.
No, and when they play footage of him responding to an issue, it's always really old footage. They're not using anything fresh because he's not making himself available to them.
Any vote for granted here and will still run.
The only public appearance he's made this entire month was at that Latino voter conference where he said, make sure you don't go to a restaurant, go to a taco truck instead.
But see, that's why they can't put him out there, because that turned into a subject of ridicule. Because you look at all of these taco stands that don't have business licenses, that aren't paying taxes, that are not inspected by the county Department of Public Health, and they're allowed to operate without being shut down by the government right outside of restaurants who have to deal with all of the crushing taxes and fees and regulations.
$6 million, whereas Hilton...
There you go. You froze for a second. Think you're back now.
I'm back.
Has raised just over $812.
For a second, I thought it was just you were having a little bit of a pregnant pause and you were about to make a point, and I'm like, nope, his eyes are still blinking.
Well, I'm here and I'm back.
$1,000. So big discrepancy there.
I don't know if you heard that last bit. This is how much money's been raised since June.
More than $6 million.
Becerra at $6 million.
Whereas Hilton has raised just over $812,000. So a big discrepancy there.
Think of how much money was spent in the June primary and how much has been raised in the first month of the general. All the money's gone.
Oh, yeah. Right now, Becerra is raising money from groups that have business in Sacramento. All the public employee unions who want big contracts, all of the individuals that have contracts with the state, they're selling us things, vendors, and they want to continue to be in his good graces. Those are the groups that are all kicking into him. But the activist types have just turned it off. I'm sure the party is turning it off because now they feel that the seat is safe. From the point of view of the Democrats, the threat always was a Democratic lockout in November. They were worried that Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton would get in the 1 and 2 slots, and the Republicans would then pick the seat up from the Democrats. Once that threat went away, once Donald Trump endorsed Steve Hilton, and there was really no chance of that happening anymore, that's when they took a deep sigh of relief and recognized that the odds of getting 1 or 2 Democrats on the November ballot were high enough that they didn't have to worry about it anymore. And now this is not a race, I would assume, that many Democrats are going to even pay attention to.
Which is good news for this guy.
Scrub it.
It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like button. We want to get that number as high as possible. All right, Randy, we've got more problems with squatters in LA County.
Specifically, a Frenchman who overstayed his Airbnb to the point where we had to go through some creative means to get him out of there. Why a Frenchman? Who knows? For more, here is ABC 7.
A woman reached out to 7 on Your Side investigates after an Airbnb guest refused to leave her townhome in Hermosa Beach. That weeks-long rental became a weeks-long nightmare for the homeowner.
Tonight, you'll see.
Seriously, our eviction laws in the state of California are insane.
And we have a woman who made the runoff in the mayor's race who ran on the platform that California is too landlord-friendly.
What happened after 7 on Your Side went knocking. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes explains how to keep this from happening to you.
Wendy Weissman may work in the software industry, but for the past decade or so, poker has been her passion.
This is a great river to bluff. Super good.
Good job, Wendy.
The SoCal native, a frequent competitor.
Wait, she plays at the bike? I mean, I know that's probably the closest card house to her, but that's a vibe.
She likes playing cards.
In the World Series of Poker. But recently, Weissman says she was dealt a full house in all the wrong ways.
He just refused to leave.
Weissman is talking about this guy.
Do you think it's fair that you're staying here and not paying?
Yeah, it's very fair.
He seems like a nice guy.
He's a salty Frenchman.
That was Evan Lamarck, a man from France who slams doors and drops F-bombs.
Oh, back for more?
Yeah, allez, go bro.
Oh.
C'est-à-dire all day, you're funny.
Pepe Le Pew is upset.
Lamarck was living in Weissman's Hermosa Beach townhome, which he originally booked for a month through Airbnb. Weissman says after paying for 48 days, though, he refused to leave and he stopped paying.
And the state of California allowed him to.
Yep, because that's what they do.
The moral of this story is if you're going to rent out your home as an Airbnb, 29 days or less. Once they get to day 30, they have tenants' rights.
It's squatting. It's definitely squatting.
Weissman has been listing the townhome on Airbnb for the past 2 years. Because Hermosa Beach restricts short-term rentals in her neighborhood, she can only offer the property for bookings of 30 days or longer. And that is the root of her problem.
So she can't rent the place out for a weekend. She can only rent it out to somebody that's definitely going to scam her.
I don't think I'd fool around with Airbnb in this state.
No.
To allow someone to remain in occupancy for 30 days, they establish tenancy rights, and then you have to use the civil litigation process to remove the person.
Real estate attorney Daniel Bornstein says that process in California can take 6 months or even longer in some cases.
I remember a story like this back in Redlands where people did this on purpose. They knew California's laws and they knew they could not get evicted. It's insanity how squatter friendly we are. By the way, I have to point out this comment. Listener DD Proud writes in, how do you get rid of a Frenchman? Have a German crash the place and evade.
And with the Olympics coming to LA in a couple years, he says even more disputes over short-term rentals like this can be expected as tourists from around the world.
This is yet another reason, even though you think you might make a ton of money from it, it's not a great idea to Airbnb out your house for the Olympics.
I wouldn't.
Pour in. Bornstein's advice to those thinking about sharing their home on Airbnb or other platforms: make sure you have proper documentation to establish identities, confirm the date they are vacating, check that they have airline tickets booked out of California on the appropriate dates, and do not rent for more than 29 days at a time.
You would have the right to change the locks at that point in time.
And Weiss.
Okay, but her city doesn't allow that to happen. So it's great that you put that on the screen, But if the reality is what you're suggesting is not doable, then what's the alternative?
Weisman's case, it was too late to change the locks. And as the days dragged on, she says her costs piled up. A 6-month eviction process would equal more than $70,000 in lost rental income.
This is going.
Is it any wonder why so many people choose to not be a landlord in the state of California?
I would never do it.
To devastate me if he ends up staying, for any length of time.
Plus, she still has to pay her mortgage and property taxes during that time and all the attorney fees related to eviction. As for any help from Airbnb, the company says it tried to contact the guest multiple times but was unsuccessful.
Airbnb did the absolute minimum. I mean, they said call your local law enforcement.
But why?
Can't we just kick him out of the country?
Nope.
Smith says because this was a civil matter, police wouldn't be able to do anything.
What? That's right. If you're illegally squatting in someone's house, it is not a... Did I just say house? I've been in Canada too long. It is not a criminal matter. It's a civil matter, so the police can't do a damn thing.
Are you staying in the Airbnb and not paying?
I explained her. She knows the situation.
Can you explain it to us, though?
No.
Weisman tells us Lamar claims
Lamar is rude.
Very.
His credit card was stolen, and he couldn't leave until it was replaced. But a couple days after we chased down Lamar, his squatting plan sprung a literal leak.
This was just gushing water.
Weisman's neighbor told her water was pouring out of the townhome. That, she says, constituted an emergency, allowing her to enter the property where she says she found this.
They tried to break into my closet.
Weisman felt she now legally had the upper hand, something she thinks Lamarck realized because she says later that night he packed up a U-Haul and disappeared.
And he's going to do it again on a different website from a different owner.
VRBO, Lamar's coming for you.
Leaving the townhome a mess.
You can see there's still a lot of standing water in here.
While Airbnb does offer damage insurance through its air cover program, Weisman says the company needs to do more to protect property owners, like provide squatter insurance when guests refuse to leave.
I would have taken it. That would have been great.
We asked Airbnb about possibly offering squatters insurance, but the company didn't give us an answer. Concerning Weisman's situation, the company sent us a 2-sentence...
He literally ran out of there so fast he didn't finish his baguette.
Statement. Issues like this on Airbnb are very rare. In this case, we are in contact with the host and have removed the guest from our platform.
Yeah, but they couldn't remove him from the site, so
nope.
You're great help, Airbnb.
All right, that's going to do it for us this week. Subscribe to the Accountability Podcast if you haven't done so. Randy, how can they do that?
YouTube.com/@accountabilitypodcast. I'll put a link in the chat right now.
All right, and click like if you're watching us on YouTube, please, before you go. Have a great weekend, everyone.